And we are the Coalition, loud and proud, civilly disobedient media. We are here at the Warwick Police Station. We've just attended an amazing event. This is actually, this month revolves around child safety and vehicles, and a special emphasis being placed on car seats. There was some great training here. We're going to share that video as well as an event that's coming up, weather permitting, this Saturday at Target in Warwick. But I'm here with Bristol Police Chief Lynch. I want to stress that I'm speaking to him in his capacity as the head of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. And we're going to be talking about, very briefly, one or two questions about Leobor. Anyone who's watched this channel, we're well schooled in the issues surrounding it. We're also well schooled that police chiefs are often strictly limited on what they can speak about relative to Leobor, and particularly individual cases, because of the nature of the law itself. So I've always found Chief Lynch to be incredibly forthcoming on a number of events and issues, including the Second Amendment, so we appreciate his time. So let me try and frame this so it makes sense. Briefly, Officer Daniel Dolan was arrested on or about September 2nd for an alleged DUI infraction, as well as a host of other issues. Part of the charges were a felony charge of threatening. The first question I have is there a statewide policy in determining when an arraignment occurs? In this case, it's alleged that Officer Dolan is in some form of rehabilitation or perhaps mental health facility. We've all seen countless issues where people in hospital beds have arraigned. So I want to narrowly focus this to a statewide look, because we're not questioning Coventry in this case. But is there any statewide approach to when a person is arraigned if in fact they are checked into a facility like that?
Well, first of all, you indicated that there are felony charges that are forthcoming or that have been levied in this particular matter. To be quite frank and honest, I have not had any conversations, nor do I speak for the Pawtucket Police Chief in their handling of the matter. I can speak generically to Leobor in the particular process. The first thing that I would state is, as you know, the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association has been working diligently and feverishly with organized labor, IBPO, FOP, and the Rhode Island State Troopers Association to bring strong reforms to Leobor and to address probably many of the concerns, i.e. one being communication. As chiefs, we want to be able to communicate with the public to inform them when an officer is under investigation, an officer has been arrested. We don't want to be restricted. We want to be transparent about those communications, and we feel as though that those reforms are needed. And I can say, and I'm grateful for organized labor, who also in support of the reforms that we produced and presented last year, and as you know, passed through the Senate in the last hours, in the late hours of the House in the end of the session last year. We were not successful in getting that reform legislation passed in the House. I can tell people that we have been working closely with Speaker Sicarchi's office, with organized labor, to bring the very reforms you're talking about to the forefront, communicating with people, making sure that officers that are charged with an infraction as a felonious charge are suspended without pay, making sure that hearings are fair, they're equitable for officers that are charged, prompting their due process. But we're looking for a great deal of reforms to add transparency and accountability to Leobor. In fact, we want to change the name of Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights to Police Officers Accountability Act. And the very nature of that sends a new and a fresh tone that we understand what the community wants from their police department. We have listened, and we are making the reforms. And I can assure people that the General Assembly, it will be a topic of great discussion, and I'm confident, personally confident, that reform legislation will be passed during the 24th session.
Excellent. You actually answered my second question that was coming up.
I tend to do that.
All right. Stepping back just a second, though, let's take the situation of arraignment and remove the police aspect to it.
Right.
Okay. So let's just say an individual is involved in an OUI and perhaps associated felony charges. They end up either hospitalized, whether it be for physical issues or rehabilitation, mental health care. Happens all the time as part of your job. Is there a policy where arraignment is typically pushed off until that person returns, or is that subject completely to local discretion? The challenge here is that, again, putting aside that he's a police officer for a second, is that this is an individual, this is his third go-around. And in each case, arraignment has taken, and this is in a variety of jurisdictions, not cops, Common Street, West Grant, all of this. And it appears that arraignment seems to be flexible in this situation, whereas the internet, as I mentioned, is replete with images of being people arraigned in jail. So regardless if he's a police officer or not, is there a statewide policy on arraignment when there's some form of either mental or physical hospitalization involved?
You know, in my 35 years of policing and conducting arraignments, I have seen in certain instances mental health facilities that have asked police to take a pause. That coming into the hospital setting or the clinical setting is counterproductive to what they are working on. And at that point, it would be up to the individual police department. In a generic approach, I would recommend, if it's felony charges, to consult with the Attorney General to make certain, you know, that that person, regardless, was under some type of watch by law enforcement. But inevitably, you know, that arraignment shall and must take place. You know, if it's a misdemeanor charge, we generally work as a municipal level with our local solicitors. For felonious matters, we work with the Attorney General's office. The state police consistently work with the state Attorney General because they don't have municipal solicitors as a state agency and DEM enforcement alike. So, in mental health situations, I have seen particular cases where police are asked to take pause. I have no baseline if it's going on in this particular matter, but inevitably it's always in the best interest to get the person arraigned properly, to make sure that they have their proper due process rights, and the case evolves. So I know that every police chief in this state, regardless of anybody that wears a uniform, is going to make certain that a person has their due process rights, but also that the confidence of the public is instilled. The days of holding back an arraignment because someone has worn a shield or a badge do not exist, you know, locally that I'm familiar with, and certainly the credibility of the police chiefs in this state to take that particular action to protect or shield an officer from arraignment while time goes on and the concern of the public is there. We are very much aware of what the public wants from their policing, and I think we deliver a fantastic product. So I'm confident that situation that you're speaking of, that any officer that has charges that's entered into a physical hospital or a mental facility, mental health facility, that proper justice will be served.
Thank you very much, Chief Kevin Lynch. He's the chief of the Bristol Police Department. Today we were having a conversation with him as his capacity as the head of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. Again, thank you very much, Chief Lynch.
Thank you.